anything you say is going out into the internet world, and that's good. And also, if you want to tell people about it, they are these seminars that are live streamed are available on our website for you to look at later on. Yes, sir.
They're not available on the website. They're available on YouTube.
But you can go, I went last night on the website and found them. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So,
I couldn't find them this morning.
yes, right? They are? Yes.
The website is www.bard, as in the Bard, B-A-R-D, as in David.org, bard.org.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So, these seminars are presented every single day of the season except on Mondays. We are here at the 9 o'clock hour to talk about the shows that were presented on the outdoor Adams stage, and at 10 o'clock, which I believe it is right now, a little bit after, to talk about the plays that are presented on the indoor stage. That would be at this hour talking about Brandon Thomas's Charley's Aunt. Before we start that discussion, I'll just say my name's Nancy Mielich, and I'm beginning my 12th season here at the festival, and I welcome all of you here. These seminars are presented in part through the generosity of Tina and Larry Howard and Utah Humanities, and we thank them publicly for their belief that you all want to talk about the plays that informed you in a live setting yesterday, and you want to come in the morning after it's resonated and you have all this understanding of these plays and what the playwright meant, and you want to come and tell us about it, and we're happy that you want to do that. So this morning,
Deep themes in Charley's Aunt.
Deep themes in Charley's
resonating across.
Okay, so this gentleman, is there anyone here that has never been to the Utah Shakespeare Festival before right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. Where are you folks from? Here on the back? Arizona.
Arizona.
Okay, so I will talk directly to you right now because this man is well known to the people who've been coming here for a long time. David Ivers is one of two artistic directors here at the festival. He also has been in, I believe, over 20,000 productions at the Utah
40.
Shakespeare Festival, 40. This season, not only is he directing Charley's Aunt, he is also playing the massive role of Salieri in our production of Amadeus.
Thank you.
David. David has directed here previously, and last season directed our successful production of Twelfth Night. And I also found it interesting to remember that in 1997, David Ivers portrayed Jack in our production of Charley's Aunt, and that season he also played Sir Andrew Aguchik in Twelfth Night that season, 1997. Some of you might have seen that. So David Ivers is an extraordinary dramatic actor, but he also has a sense of humor that has been seen on our stages. And this season, it's a wonderful opportunity to see him in a highly dramatic role as I said, Salieri. But this hour, we're to talk about Charley's Aunt. And so when you, as artistic director, put together the season for Charley's Aunt, did you know you were going to direct it? And did you say, we're going to do this because I want to direct Charley's Aunt?
Actually, I said I didn't want us to do Charley's Aunt in the season. I'm not kidding. No. Honestly, Brian brought the title. Brian and I looked through the titles, and we whittle them down, and then we kind of open it up for input from our staff. And I said, I don't think we should be doing this again, And I said, it feels, you and I did it, and I don't know that we'll beat the memory of it, and our audiences are so passionate about their memories that I don't know that I want to go up against them. But I said, all right. He kept pushing. He said, I think it's great. It's so family friendly, and there's this wonderful sense about it. And I said, all right, I'll give it a read. And I pulled it out, and I didn't read it actually until we were like 8 plays away or so from the season. And I read it again, and I was absolutely smitten with it because 20 years had gone by. and I have two boys, and I just started thinking about, the optimism in the play, which I've just constantly talked about, that there's something so fresh about it still after 125 years. And then, of course, I remembered through reading it, this absolute killer comic construction. Once that dress gets on the stage, there is no going back, and how brilliant it's built. And so I thought, okay, I'm now really hooked, and I agreed. And then we were batting around directors and looking at it, and we couldn't really, to be honest with you, find a director for it that fit. And so every day I kind of walked into the office, it was like, "Are you interested yet?" And I said, I think I should do it. We weren't quite deep into conversations about Salieri as well. So when that came in the mix, admittedly, it was, oh my gosh, I don't know. Can I do all of this? I still don't know. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And it was really terrific and great to explore it. And we're continuing to explore it again. It's a wonderful, wonderful play.
David has been directing elsewhere, and this season, he directed One Man, Two Govs at Pioneer Theater in Salt Lake City, and also he just recently directed One Man, Two Governors for Berkeley Rep that received great notices, and also you directed 2 seasons ago Taming the Shrew at Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and
very different production.
Very different production than ours, and so when you were talking about the reading the Charley's Aunt again, since you have a real sensibility about not only being an actor in comedic roles, but directing them, what struck you about this 100-plus-year-old play that is so well crafted that you really wanted to do it again?
Just that. It's just such a well-made play. And I just have so much respect for the well-made play. It's deceptively difficult because honoring something that's well-made, if any of you cook, you know what I'm talking about. You can read a simple recipe, but actually making it taste that way that turns heads is a different thing. You can put it requires a little bit of your own interpretation or not, it's just, you could be at altitude. The stove's different, the way things heat up is different. And so, this thing is well made, and I think you have to obey it and honor it. And one of the things I'm realizing, and I continue to realize as I grow in my career and learn and have success and failures, is that, it's a hard craft, and comedy is hard. We have this extraordinary new talent here that I think you saw in a dress yesterday, who I'm calling my new project, who I love, Michael Doherty, who was brought to my attention by a colleague. And, you can see someone with great talent and potential to tear a stage apart, So like working that math and figuring out how this is happening for the first time ever for these young people, and telling the story and not disobeying the bit of romance that's in it and some of the pastoral quality that is also in the play, and all those things draw me to it. And when you guys laugh, that makes me feel good.
Yes, there was a little bit of laughter yesterday, a lot of it. Okay, comments or questions? Okay, we'll go right back here, if you pass that back. Thank you.
I enjoyed 3 of the 5 acts.
Me too.
I wondered what you're going to do with those other 2 acts, how that came to be.
The intermissions. Yeah, it's a nightmare, in all transparency. We have engineering problems. And we're addressing. They were there. There was 2 calls last night. Carpenters came in at 4 a.m. And so we're addressing it. We're hoping to get those down to 15 minutes and 15 minutes by opening. welcome to previews.
Yeah, well, I've been coming quite a long time, and I think the way you've done the staging in the past has been pretty brilliant. I've seen the whole stage transform before our eyes, and tearing it down and rebuilding it and stuff. It was kind of a pretty big distraction between really three great acts.
Yeah, so let me explain to you a couple things that if you come back, you'll see differently. One, we had rehearsal at 8:30 in the morning yesterday before the preview, and there's some tracking things that didn't go well. And so you actually shouldn't be seeing that scene shift at all. But they didn't hang the black curtain that covers the audience from seeing it yesterday because they were trying to get ready for the show. So you got a special glimpse of that, which you won't normally get, so that will be a little bit more magic. And because of the engineering problems that were caught late, there's two other shows going on in there, Amadeus and South Pacific, which are being stored. The organization, like any good organization, has to prioritize. And the priority was this giant musical in Amadeus, and Charley's Aunt is now the priority for opening, but we just put the conveyor belt, in a certain order, which is also why we tell the truth. And Scott Phillips comes out and says, this is where we're at. Yes, I promise you that nobody is more frustrated, losing sleep, anxious, worried than I am. It's my name on the top of it, my excellence, my desire for myself to be excellent, the desire for the cast not to have to wait 25 minutes to, but here's the deal. It's where we're at, and actually you have been witness, you just don't know it, to much bigger nightmares than this at the Utah Shakespeare Festival backstage. And you probably wouldn't, and we were joking that, maybe we shouldn't have made an announcement. If the curtain was in and they were long, people may not, people sometimes don't process, but we felt better go on the side of, hey, this is where we're at and we're still working on it. And thanks for supporting us. It's tough. I had tears in my eyes at my meeting, and I said, well, there's a 2 hour and 3 minute play, or 2 hours and 8 minutes is the runtime of the play. First act's 48 and 42 and about 30 minutes. That got done at 5 o'clock, It's like nothing will kill a comedy quicker than a hot theater and length, So my apologies. Thanks for sticking with us.
I will tell you that we have, in addition to all of these seminars that we have, there is something here called Repertory Magic that is a ticketed event. We haven't started that yet this season, but you pay to watch the set be changed and built for the evening. So just look that you have saved yourself $10 by coming preview week and watching this.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, where is the microphone? Over here somewhere? Yes, go ahead.
I thought it was wonderful, and it was worth waiting for even after the scene changes. It was fabulous.
Thank you.
Totally unrelated. Was the brilliant young actor in last night's performance a relation of yours with the Ivers last name?
No, Siri Ivers. That's been asked a lot in the last couple of years. Siri is in the Green Show, and she's in ensemble of our company. And she's terrific, but there's no relation whatsoever. Although I do pass her and call her Ivers all the time. Yeah, it is a unique last name.
So what changes happen after the preview? I mean, you're listening for laughter. I'm watching you. You're very cognizant of everybody in the audience. You kind of walk out before and you're watching and listening. But what are some of those changes that you affect after that preview?
Well, we're going to affect a lot on Tuesday morning. The first thing, we've lost some rehearsal time because of the technical issues. So it's like, what do we want to get the set going, or do we need to get the actors back on stage? And I need to get the actors back on stage on the set. First thing that we'll talk about is I'll talk to Jack and Charley about where the laughs are, because they're stepping all over them, and that's what happens with a first audience or first comedy. You don't know where they are. So so we know where some of them are. We know where some of them aren't. We'll have conversations about that. I've got tons of notes. We'll look at a couple of staging pieces of business that I think need to be cleaner. And we'll process the information that is solid information from the audience about where we want to maybe live in a laugh longer and where we actually may want to live in a laugh not as long to get to a larger one, you know? And then the moments where we're not laughing, and I'm one of these people that believe this, and you can decide for yourself. This play, there's a lot of laughs in it, but there's also not laughs, you know, there's just charm and smiles. And so how do we earn that part of it? You know, the little lovely scene between Ella and Fanny when he's on the poof, you know, the scenes between Auntie and the real Donna Lucia. Those are important scenes to me because they speak to the time period. You know, they speak in a different way to the time period and the charm of the play. And we're going to concentrate on some of that stuff, you know, and just general comfort. Repetition for these actors will solve a lot. They got a lot of doors to go through. Brassett's, if you come back and see it, just watch Brassett up back there. I mean, he is on stage. You can't believe it all the time, picking up teacups, setting up lunch, do it. You know, that guy is terrific because he's kind of unsung, you know, but he is constantly moving. So we got to track some more of that those kinds of things, you know, and we've got a few rehearsals to do that. There's downhill.
No, well, I've got it over here. Comedy is kind of like a ballet. Can you speak to what it takes to get the timing right amongst all the actors?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just that. You're exactly right. You know, some of it is there, some of it's not. You know, it's repetition. It's talking about structure. You know, this leads to this, and often actors, myself included, will want to be inventive when actually we don't need any more invention. We need to just pay attention to the setup. You know, that long scene between Jack and Charlie at the beginning, there's more laughs in there probably, but the thing that's most important about it is the clarity. You know, the setup of what is important to these two guys in terms of getting these two girls to understand that they're in love with them before they head off out of town and before they graduate forever. And that for everything to work and for the setup of the dress, and then, oh my gosh, my aunt isn't coming, we're not going to get the response, which gratefully that we got when that dress comes out, unless that's clear. So that architecture is important to me, and that's what getting that stuff nailed will allow the comedy in a way and the orchestration and the ballet to start to take care of itself. Because then there's only really one direction to go. The other thing is making sure, which I didn't personally think there was enough there yesterday, but we'll get there, which is this thing we talk about in acting, which is high stakes. And I don't mean ribeyes. I mean that the importance that is a different kind of light bulb and oh my gosh for these young men in 1893 than there is now. If you read my director's note, well, I don't think those are out yet, but I say in my director's notes, you know, this is a time when you can't touch a woman unless she offers a hand, you know. That we don't understand that anymore. Like a stroll in the garden sends shivers up and down the skin, you know. I know we're in such jaded times now. And so we talk about that so that the stakes can be high just in the presence, and that will translate to some of this, the way things get put together, you know, and then repetition with that darn bag, you know, leave over and over, and those guys sitting on the poof, and then Michael getting up, and then them sitting back down. That's like, do it again. It's not clean. Do it again. Okay, I'm going to film it. You don't believe me? You're sitting down after Michael. Okay, watch. Ah! iPhones are great now for rehearsal. One here. Does that answer your question? Okay, and then we'll travel back down to you. I got you.
I just have one comment about the intermission. I think it was great to be able to watch that stage being changed. It gave us something to do, and it was marvelous, actually.
Yeah, well, thanks for the applause on it. You know, I did say in the meeting, I said, look, maybe there's some value to that satisfaction. We talked about it, but for people that you may know when you come back, but for people that don't know what the situation is, they're going to want a 15-minute intermission and get back to the comedy and enjoy the air-conditioned theater, and that's our goal first. But thank you. Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking, David, when you were talking about the difference in sensibility of having a chaperone around when you are with gentlemen, there's something that I don't think you ever could have could have anticipated, unless you call the Supreme Court justices. But watching that play yesterday and that historic announcement coming from
I
the
know.
Supreme Court, and in that moment where Charlie's aunt says, "I'm not who you think I am," and we can't get married, and I thought someone this summer, I can bet, is going to
Totally.
shout out from the audience, "Yes, you can."
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe we'll get a plant to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, your comment down here.
If we can
Here,
get the mic
here.
down here. Oh, there we go.
Well, we're big Pioneer Theater fans, and we were so thrilled to see your directing last year. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, gone right out of my head.
One man.
One
two
Man,
governors.
Two Governors. So I was just, as we were watching this, I was so curious about what your experience was like directing in Salt Lake compared to here. You know, what was hard, what was easier. Are you going to come back?
Yeah, the set changes are a lot harder here. I loved working at Pioneer. I'm a huge fan of Karen Eisenberg's. I did not know what to expect, but as a matter of fact, I've just been emailing with her recently on unrelated business. But she's a wonderful woman and a great leader. And what was hard about Pioneer is what's hard about here, which is the schedule is absolutely insane. Now, it's very interesting, depending on circumstances, one works with actors differently as a director. I was extraordinarily prescriptive with that production. I had 16 days before we went into the theater to rehearse that play with a band. And so I literally had to be, thank you for your input, stand here, the line happens here, move there, throw the cart there, you know. No, we actually have, you know, and they were accommodating, and the actors were terrifically receptive, and I was panicked about 2.5 weeks rehearsal. Kevin Albers is right behind us, who's our costume designer for South Pacific, who is a resident artist there at Pioneer, and it's amazing what gets done on that schedule. But it was a terrific experience, and the staff's great, and I hope I go back. So Kevin, take the news back.
So David, when you were talking about rehearsal schedule, when you were at Berkeley Rep recently directing One Man, Two Govs, what is the rehearsal schedule like there in terms of time?
15 weeks. No. We had a lot more time. 8 hours a day, which we had at Pioneer too, but 8 hours a day and a month until we even hit tech. So 6 days a week, 48 hours a week. So we mount these productions here in about 112 hours, I would say. I don't know what it is at Pioneer in terms of hours. I got 2 weeks of rehearsal, 8 hours a day at any other theater. That's 96 hours, and I had double that. And then tech. And on one show, they're not in rep with anyone else. So you feel like everyone's focus, which is one of the luxuries of Pioneer. It's like, you know, mostly everyone's focus is on that one show. You don't have what we call pack issues, which is where is Amadeus going to live while Charlie's aunt is on the set? It's living right behind it. You know, where are the costume racks for South Pacific going to sit with 74 million costumes while Amadeus has 75 million? And so that's also a focus difference. You know, you feel like the organization, we try to do a good job, I think, in this organization, feeling like today you're the most important. South Pacific is we're behind you, but it's hard when all these other shows are being built at the same time, you know, and that's the fundamental difference between what is so unique for our audiences and what we do here, and we're never going to lose because it makes us the Utah Shakespeare Festival.
And because there might be, this question comes up a lot in the seminars, the unusual rehearsal schedule here. You don't rehearse Charlie's Aunt every single day here. Can you explain that a little bit?
We don't rehearse Charlie's Aunt every single day here. And it's hellacious, particularly for a comedy. You know, they just learned that thing I talked about. Stand up at the same time, sit, and then 2.5 days later, we come back and start with stand up again, don't sit, and it's out of the body. Because we didn't finish at 10 o'clock at night and then start there at noon the next day. We finished at 10 o'clock at night on Monday and on Thursday we started, now here's the gift, the upside of that, which is what I call, you have lots of time to marinate. No, it's good though. You have time to learn the lines, think about the business, time between rehearsals to really process. That's important and valuable. So that's the trade-off, I think.
But you are acting this summer at the same time you are directing. So what is the more frustrating of the rehearsal schedule for you as Salieri or as you director Charley's aunt?
I don't know the answer to that. I know that they both terrify and humble me in extraordinarily different ways. That's as truthful as I can be. It is exhilarating. I feel blessed and honored that I get to wake up every day and do the work that I woke up in 5th grade and dreamed that I could do. I feel blessed and honored despite however tired I might be, there's someone who is more tired. I am not on the front lines of Afghanistan. I am getting to live out a dream that I hope has significance. I hope illuminates the human condition. And so even at my worst, and I can be a bear, tired and grouchy and grumpy, and it's hard to say goodbye to my kids in the morning and not see them when they go to bed, but it's not more difficult than being shot at. It's not more difficult than being persecuted. So as much as I might complain, I'm blessed. And so that feeds me and fuels me, and the opportunities I've been given here. Yes, thank you.
Did we lose the microphone? Can you hold for the mic, because we are live streaming and we can't hear your question? Where is the microphone?
I've been waiting.
Oh,
Okay, she's been
sorry.
waiting. Can you
tell
hold?
me, and I'll repeat the question. You tell. Yes. Yeah. The question was, I say I have 15, 16 days in Pioneer before we go onto the stage, and doesn't that take away the collaborative process of the art? And my answer is yes, it does, somewhat. And I'm being dramatic. Of course, I couldn't in 15 days say do this, stand there with every single line. But it's overstating the case of my preparation was much more specific, much less open to input. Not that I didn't take input, much less open to the kind of input that we might take over 7 weeks here, or on everything, design, costumes. No, it's got to be this. Just decisions have to be made quicker than I'm used to. But like anywhere, and Kevin can tell you too, the difference between working here and working there, and you do it once and you go, oh yeah, no big deal. Now I know next time it'd be a lot. I would look at things differently, and I didn't have to over prepare for some areas. But that was a huge show for me to put in that amount of time. And also you have things working, not against you, but working in my psyche, like I want to do a good job. I care about our sister organization. My name, the Utah Shakespeare Festival's name, is connected to this production. Those are pressures that we all feel about things we care about in our work and our life. And so that, plus not a lot of time, means, okay, what do I got to do to ensure that those things happen in a way? Thank you.
Okay, I have a compliment and 2 questions. First off, with Charley's aunt. Oh, isn't it on?
It is, but you need to hold it closer.
Okay. Anywho, with Charley's aunt, somebody sitting next to me said, how are they going to get the speed of the comedy back up after these long intermissions? And so I watched for that as they started back up again, and it was as if the intermission had not happened. Yeah. I was so impressed. It was amazing. I
said the same thing. Thank you. As a matter of fact, I touched base with the actors and said, I'm so proud of you for hanging right there. I felt the show got better actually as it went on, so.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So my questions were, you mentioned, this higher level of awareness of men and women's relationships during era long gone. And I actually noticed all the kissing that happens to Michael during the play. And I wanted to know if that was director's license or if that's actually written in there where the ladies give him all of these busses on the cheek.
Well, they're not giving him.
Her, yes.
That's the brilliant construction. Not added
Okay.
at all. That's Brandon Thomas.
That's written in there.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
Very fun. And then my last question was, how much license have you given Michael for his comedic stuff? Because we sat there kind of picking out, did he add that in there to throw everybody off, or was that just written in there?
No, there's no, he has freedom, but he has freedom within what Brandon Thomas wrote, I gave him a little freedom with the piano. If it smokes too much, that it's better to comment on it than to just let it upstage you. If he controls that environment, you'll be back in the play. If it just continues to smoke upstage of him, you're focused on that. But as soon as the character becomes aware of it, you cease to be concerned about it. It's the age old, if a button comes off an actor's costume on stage and they don't pick it up, it's a play about a button on the floor. I always tell young actors, only characters in plays don't pick up things when they fall on the floor. It's like real life. You pick up something if it falls on the floor. So he doesn't. There are things that we discovered that aren't in the play. Him eating that mayonnaise.
Okay.
Yeah, like him eating it's not in the play, but them eating is. And one day I thought, we were in rehearsal and I said, hey, Michael, I wonder if you ought to just down a big old scoop of that mayonnaise that Fanny Babs takes over, which he does in the dress. And so, of course, we tried it. And then, of course, now it busts everyone up. And it's like, great, backfire, So it's not so much that we take license. What we try to do is find stuff inside of character that continues to illuminate story. If it's outside of what the construction is, we usually lose it. Actually, I just cut something yesterday. Brassic clears a cigarette. I don't know if you noticed that. I had him flick it over the wall. And we cut it because I watched it again and said, nah, it's totally not, that's like that's not right. That's not period. He took a drag of it and it was like, no, thanks. But I think we should lose it. And so we do a lot of that, but mostly I will say, it's Brandon Thomas winning the day.
So David, there's an opportunity here that I just can't pass up about something that you did on the outdoor stage years ago when a dog walked on stage that wasn't cast. It wasn't an equity actor. It wasn't. So will you tell this audience that story? It's a wonderful story.
Sure. This was like 1998. We were doing Shrew actually, and I was playing Christopher Slibe, who was many incarnations throughout the play. It was this. Now I can say it was just kind of this bizarre take on the play, and I was standing out there delivering soliloquies from other Shakespeare plays. That was part of this thing, and a stray dog, ran up the ramp, came on the stage, and just kind of did a little circle and ran down the other ramp. And when I was younger, I had this facile mind for improv, and I said, "Out damned spot," the top of my voice. And I thought, Shakespeare, he's a good writer, that guy. Yeah, and I still contend that's the biggest laugh I've had in my career.
So then, wasn't there a follow-up from administration? Didn't you get a note?
I don't remember. I've been in
Or if we
trouble so
embellish
many
the
times
story.
here. I can't believe I'm still working here. My stage antics over the
It's
years.
a wonderful story.
It was fun.
Yes.
Since you've been off topic, I have to just comment on Amadeus. You were incredible.
Oh, thanks. That really means a lot to me. Thank you. It's territory. I love that play. I have a very personal connection to that play, and it's territory I've not really been in as an actor, and it's thrilling to do. So thank you for that comment.
I saw Charlie's Aunt yesterday, and it was good. I liked it. But the guy, I guess Babs, the guy who plays Charlie's Aunt, in the beginning, I'm just going to be blunt, he plays very gay. It's, to me, that's
stereotypical.
Yes, very
gay.
stereotypical gay. And when he is playing Charlie's Aunt, he's fine. I like it. And even at the end, he seems more manly, not so effeminate like he is in the beginning. Is that how you wanted him played? Is more gay?
Well, the word gay has never come up in a single rehearsal of ours. Not once. No. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it means to play or be like to look gay. I don't know. I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. He is eccentric, Fanny Babs. We know that. We know that he's in acting school. We know that he has this rich life going to Monte Carlo and gambling, and he's eccentric. And for me personally, and I do appreciate your observation, and I appreciate that it may look like something that's recognizable to you, but there's no conversation about that. We talked about his eccentricities, and what Michael's bringing to the role there is a joie de vivre and an excitement about the day, what's going on with his amateur theatricals class, and it's clear that he's in love with Ella. So in my worldview, I don't recognize any stereotypes and impress them upon people, because as soon as you do that, you'll turn around and open your eyes and there'll be a contradiction in front of you, So I'm sorry if it distracted, but none of that's by design or conversation. It's just, who he is.
Seems like it would be more of a situation where you can't have your cast start out on a really high, frenetic, comedic note at the very beginning, because you've got 3 acts to go. So to have them, where we've probably all seen productions where it is so frenetic in a comedy at the very opening scene. So I would think as a director, you have to be aware of that.
Yeah, but also, he's different than Jack and Charley. We hear all about that history, and that's partly who Michael is. So I'm not gonna censor a human being from their gestures or personality or who they are and say take that away. I mean, can you imagine saying to another culture, could you remove culturally that piece of you? I mean, would you say that to Donna Lucia? You have a person of color walk on the stage as Donna Lucia, which I'm so grateful she's in our company and with us doing incredible work. Would one say, she appears foreign to me. Did you mean for that to happen? And that's where I get caught up in this. We shouldn't have this conversation. But yeah. So anyway, none of that was by design. It certainly wasn't meant to offend. That's who we got. We got that guy. Yeah.
I read in the play, the script for Amadeus, that after it opened and it was very popular, but then for a number of years there were add-ons, different people adding different things, and then the script was reissued by the family of Thomas in 1920. So we get the script as he wrote it back in the very first time. Do you know about that?
There's a new script. There's a relatively new script out that takes all the stage directions out, because there was a huge lawsuit between the guy who originally played Fanny Babs and what property was his, because he created so much work with it and went into the stage directions, and what was Brandon Thomas's, and they were at each other for years over it. And actually, I'm not sure if it was with the Guthrie production, but it was around the Guthrie production that there was an issue of Charlie's Aunt, which, without all these stage directions, like where they kiss, what he's doing with the fan, the bottle business. And the script is like 39 pages shorter without the, it is. Let me show you this, actually, since I've got visual aids here. That is a script that is thick. This is 145 pages. And a lot of it is stage directions, you know. I'm not sure which one we have in the gift shop, but if you're over there and there is one, take a look. This is really interesting. The other issue that's interesting about it is the original stage directions from a long, long time ago. So as you discover, as you look at it and you say there's a bit of business that happens here, but because someone's notating it and there's lines in between the business, you can't tell where it was supposed to happen. You know, it's like, was it up here? So there's all this detective work. No, that doesn't work. They must have done it down here after this line, you know, because Brassett's walking across here. So doing that work was interesting and goes kind of back to your question earlier, putting that stuff together.
So when you license a play and it has so many stage directions in it and so meticulous that way, are you at license to ignore the stage directions, just keep the lines in that the playwright wrote, or do you how
yeah, I
does
mean,
that
some
work?
of it you can't ignore because it's part and parcel with action and with text. You know, let's get him into the dress. You gotta get him into the dress. You know, tea. You know, you better have a tea service going on, or we're in trouble. I tell the actors, and I, as an actor myself, try to, and we have the same thing going on with the Amadeus script, by the way, which is also laden with stage directions and how that's supposed to happen. But things like solemnly, excitedly that happen before a line, I take a Sharpie and I just erase those because those are stage management notes or they're notes from an original production about how an actor said a line, and that may be appropriate, it may not, but once you see it, your instinct wants to be excitedly, you know, and then it blocks the potential of discovering something else. So I usually, and oftentimes I'll come back to excitedly, but at least I'll know that I'm paying attention to the other actor. You know, we're creating it for the first time ourselves.
Hi, going back to that other thing, what I saw was the character of the English fop in the three main characters like Jeeves and Wooster, PG Woodhouse, which would have been familiar to what didn't he write in the same time period? Yeah. So that's what that audience was familiar with, that type of character.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. Bring it back over here.
I just wanted to highlight a couple of brilliant scenes that I remember this morning even. I mean, the bicycle. The bicycle was amazing.
That's mine.
That was fabulous. The mayonnaise. We already talked about that. That was an awesome piece. The hat, where he pours the milk in the hat.
That's Brandon Thomas.
Was so awesome.
I know, it's so funny.
The point of the kisses.
It would have been nice if we had tea in it yesterday, though. We had water. I was like,
I don't know if we could tell.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's against a black dress. Look.
Right. And then the kissing and his face every time there was kissing, and then the faces of the other actors going, I can't believe that he's kissing my friend and not me or whatever. And, they get the first kiss and he doesn't or whatever. Those were just fabulous scenes. I just loved all of those. And that's what I think of this morning.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for that. It is a funny play. Over here.
Hi. I just want to say something about social class, since that hasn't come up and it seems like kind of an important element of the play. And I want to kind of say something about that and ask about the accents. Because I felt like the accents stood out a lot to me, and I was kind of tracking them and following them. And I got the impression that the actors were imitating the kind of a version of that the accent from that social class at the time, and there was a little bit of comedy there that we were supposed to get, that they were making a little bit of fun of that kind of high class accent of the time. So was that the case?
Yeah, I mean, there's several different classes, but we're in a privileged institution, it's essentially Oxford. These are people with golden worries, and in that way, the play doesn't have a lot to say about social justice or injustice. It's not an editorial or anything. And that's why I talk about the optimism in it, because it is a particular time at a particular place. The irony is, except for institutions we could all name that are higher education institutions, universities can be classless societies. You know, everyone is sort of, you know, if you're a student, I mean, you know, you're all sharing inside of a certain course of learning and a certain goal-oriented 4-year trajectory. That's not necessarily the case here in this play. And the dialects came out of first, where are we? It's the first place. We're in England, you know, and the work was to get them heightened a little bit, you know. So we didn't want to be in a Cockney land. We didn't want to be in a working class land. So I hope that landed for you, because, you know, we find out that most of these people, all of them, have a great deal of money, you know, and so that Brassett included, apparently. So that was by design, you know. I don't know about the imitation part. That might just be them. That may be something that's not intentional for them to be necessarily imitating, but rather inhabiting is what we're hoping for. So we'll keep working on it.
I just wanted to quickly make the comment that what worked for me was the sweet moments in the play, that if it was all just laughs, you can only do so much of that. I think it really worked to have the connection between the different characters seem very real and sentimental, and that really made the play work for me. So
thank you for that. I'm proud of that too. I think John Preston, who plays Sir Francis, does such a nice job of treading both of those worlds. I mean, he's like this anchor between all of those worlds, and I'm glad we've taken the time for those moments. They'll feel like less time when there's not 5 acts, as you said, but.
David, I have a question for you. I know you're familiar with Ashland. I'm seeing a lot more familiar faces here, actors anyway, from Ashland. Is that because you're doing more classical Shakespeare and they're maybe going away from it more, or?
You know, we actually have a long history, not just recently, of sharing artists and actors with Ashland. The only thing I would say that's by design in that is the demands of our season and who's the best actor that we think is for the role. And Brian and I are spending a lot more time there because we're invited to go there every year and see their productions and audition their actors, and they're coming to our company and stealing our actors too, and our artists. But I say that with a smile because we're sharing, and I'll say it's a pretty terrific thing to be sharing with the largest theater in the country, and that people are looking toward us as a model for excellence and a model for vivid and vigorous productions as they are to OSF. And the fact that we have those actors that want to join us and that seek to join us is terrific. I mean, Tasso, who plays Mozart, has become a friend. I met him in Ashland when I directed Taming of the Shrew. He was in it. You know, Nell Geislinger, that was here last year, I met in Ashland, but I met her when she was 7. I've known her family for a long time. She just happens, would have brought her here, whether she was from Ashland or not. Just so happens she worked there. So I think, you know, I think that give and take it speaks well of both organizations. But the primary thing I think for Brian and I has little to do with geography. You know, it has mostly to do with who is going to be the strongest person inside of this role for this company. And that's what we've been trying to do since we assumed these posts.
I neglected to mention that among the other shows that David has directed, he directed a extraordinary production of Coconuts at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival last year. And we often have theater junkies who travel around going to various festivals. We get a lot of Oregon Shakes people that then come here and vice versa. And last year, people constantly brought up Coconuts here in the seminar, and I was fortunate to see it as well. It was a wonderful production. So another
Thank you.
connection. Okay, yes.
I just wanted to address the wardrobe malfunction that happened yesterday. I absolutely love the play. It was hysterical, but that wasn't supposed to happen, was it?
Which one? I'm serious. Which one?
With the skirt. on the dress.
You mean the dress coming off?
Yes.
And him diving into it?
No.
Oh, the other one. No. It's fixed.
Now, you all know that Charley's Aunt is the bridge show, and it is continuing until the 1st of November. Well, I don't know, the last of October. So you can all come back and see if the mayonnaise
have been
and the
fixed.
skirt and the dress were actually if that was supposed to happen, or if we have invented new things by the end of the season. Okay, maybe one more comment, and then we need to break.
I have a comment and then a question that's not related to the first comment. The first comment is, in all the years we've been coming, I saw something new with the space, which I really enjoyed. I forget the term for those ramps.
Oh, the bombs,
Yeah, I really liked how you incorporated that, and I'm not sure if that was a deliberate choice for this, or maybe that something we're going to see in South Pacific. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Great.
And then my question is, how do you and Brian plan to balance going forward, the balance between keeping things classical and more traditional and presenting them in new ways? Because I can't get over how much I enjoyed last year's Comedy of Errors.
Yeah. Thank you. Great questions. First, the VOMs are specific for this season. Brian and I have been pushing to have return that element to the theater because of what it opens up in terms of our options for staging. And South Pacific and Charley's Aunt, I was a huge advocate for using them in the garden scene because it seems like perfect, And so our hope is to continue to explore having them out, so that we can expand the possibility for staging options. It's a wonderful device. I haven't used them in like 15 years. And finally, we were in a little bit of battle just between, the business side and artistic side. And we said to Scott, all right, when we're selling those seats 12 times a week and no one can get a seat, we'll plug them back up. But until then, let's explore what our options and what that does for staging. Did anyone else find that effective too? It's kind of nice to see a different configuration. Yeah. The next question is yes, back there. They did 95. Yep. Yeah, we used them up through about 97 actually. Balancing our programming in terms of pushing the boundaries and exploring other terrains and the terrain inside of our Shakespeare plays and other programming in general. It's a constant discussion. It's the greatest source of inspiration and institutional tension. And how do you honor legacy and how do you move forward? Does moving forward mean modern dress? Not necessarily. Moving forward might mean a play that hasn't been written yet, which is part of our hopes too, moving forward could be a play that hasn't been written yet that's set in Shakespeare's time, and so I think you're going to see a pretty thrilling dynamic in our 2016 season, which we're announcing at our gala in just a few weeks or days actually, that will expand our programming into new spaces and have something to say about what our calendar will soon look like. Don't worry, you'll still have your experience to see lots of shows at once, but because of that center, it allows us the opportunity to look at a kind of expansion, both in terms of here and physically on our property. And so you will see, I think, more interpretive work, and you'll continue to see classical work, and I'm hoping you're going to see some new plays that you've never seen before. I can tell you one thing, you're going to see more music than you've ever seen in a season in 2016, and that's all I'm saying. Thank you for your support and for being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of the shows, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, David Ivers. Thank you all for being here. Stand up, relax for a minute. The actors will be here shortly, and we'll get the third seminar going.